Welcome back to the Road to National series. In today's episode, I'm going to take you through a dynamic effort lower workout. So for this 3-week wave, I have dynamic effort deadlifts, and next 3-week wave, I'll have squats. So I have 75% of my 1 rep max in total. That's bar plus band tension, and these moved very well, very easily. Unlike yesterday, or last session, I should say, when I did my dynamic upper workout and I miscalculated the bar weight and band tension and it was way too heavy. These were the appropriate weight and moved exactly how I'd like. Also, when you're doing dynamic effort, if it looks really easy, it actually didn't feel easy. The whole point is it almost doesn't matter if you go a little too light on dynamic effort. You should make up for that with speed. You should imagine every rep is like a 1 rep max and you need to like instantly explode to lockout. So if you do have slightly lighter percentages, that is why from the beginning of this series I was doing 5% heavier each week, and I decided to lighten my percentages to make sure that the bar speed was what I wanted. So those dynamic deadlifts basically went perfectly there. Then my first accessory here is belt squats, and I did these at 150 kilos, which is the joint heaviest I've ever done, but I think I did them for sets of 12 and I've only done them for sets of 10 before, so that was great, a new sort of PR on that accessory. Also, these felt fantastic in terms of just delivering great leg drive. Obviously with the belt squat your upper body isn't involved, so even other like squat variations which target the legs a lot and are comfortable on the upper body, things like safety squat bar, that is really nice on the upper body, but it's still not quite the same as a belt squat. A belt squat is a great substitute for a leg press. So for me, in my small gym, I can't fit a leg press in. So buying this belt squat was fantastic. And it's great for working on leg drive, which is definitely something I need to work on to improve both my squat and deadlift. It's a bit of a weakness of mine. So when I fail my squat, I do that thing where my hips shoot backwards out of the hole and I cave forward. People often think that that means you have weak hip and back extension, which increasing your hip and back extension will help, but it's also because that's actually the most advantaged position. Your body's trying to move into that position because it's stronger, because you have weak quads. So that is what I'm trying to work on there with the belt squats, and they were pretty smooth, pretty easy, and the highest reps I've done at the highest weight I've done on that, so that was nice. Then the next accessory here is GHDs. I'm doing these instead of hamstring curls because it's basically the same thing that you're working on, knee flexion, and these went great. It is the first time I've ever done these weighted with the 10 kilo plate, and 10 kilos might not seem like a lot, particularly because your body weight, like my body weight, is over 110 kilos. So you'd think, oh, just adding another 10 wouldn't do much, but because of where it is, because it's on my chest, the turning moment, particularly in that bottom position, because the 10 kilos all the way towards the end of my body, it feels like a massive amount, and that's why I did 5 reps with the 10 kilo plate, and then I was able to drop and get 5 more without it, when I literally felt like I could maybe have got 1 more with the 10 kilo plate, but it didn't matter because I was doing the extra reps without. So they felt great. And like I say, that's the first time I've done them weighted. I'd love to be able to get up to, like, 20 kilos, 25 kilos weighted ones for a sort of set of 10, set of 15. That would mark a massive improvement in hamstring strength, and that would translate over to the squat and deadlift fantastically, particularly the deadlift. So the next accessory here is calf raises. I decided to go sort of mid-weight for me. I find 100 kilos to be really light, and I think last workout I managed to get a set of like 30 with 100 kilos. And here I went for 130 kilos, so a bit heavier there. And I think I managed to get sets of 20, maybe a set of 22 on the first set, and then like a set of 15 or something on the second. I can't actually remember what I got, but this is sort of mid-weight for me, and that is the rep range that I'm wanting to work on. So all of my accessories after like the first 2, so that belt squat and that sort of hamstring curl, that GHD, they're the main accessories that are going to do the most for me when it comes to powerlifting. My later accessories like the calf raise and my last 2 accessories after this, they're not as important, and the main thing I want is for them to not contribute to my fatigue. So I don't mind training pretty hard at them, but they shouldn't be particularly heavy. They shouldn't be neurologically taxing, and they definitely shouldn't impact my recovery for my main work. So my max and dynamic effort, squats and deadlifts, and then the main accessories, the first two accessories of each session. So that's why I'm trying to shift into a higher rep range for these end accessories. So speaking of which, my next accessory here is banded hip adductions, and I chose a band where I could get like sets of 20. I think I got a set of 20 on the first side, and then I thought on the second side I'd only done a set of 15 on the first side, so I only do a set of 15 on the second side, which is a little annoying because it meant I trained it a bit unevenly. But to be honest, both legs are working on both sides because they're both squeezing inwards. Even the standing leg, you're like squeezing in with that against the floor. So that trained the hip adductors effectively there, which was great. And then finally I had reverse hypers. Now I actually did 2 sets of these, but I forgot to record the first set. I do promise I did actually do it, and these are just great for building up the posterior chain in general. I felt them particularly in my glutes today, but often I feel these all over. Some days I feel it more in my lower back, some more in my upper back. It changes. And in fact, when I was doing this set here, my abs were what was the limiting factor, because trying to brace properly, all of your weight is grounded through your stomach, so it makes you feel like you can't breathe. So that is it for today's video. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all of that good stuff, and I hope you have a great day.